Yo, what's good? Try to ignore the barking in the background. Can't do nothing about that. But today is Friday, and I just uploaded my Megan 2.0 movie review. So that's out. Now I'm just here to do my review for F1, which I also saw yesterday, Thursday, along with Megan 2.0. Now, F1, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I would like this movie. It's not really up my alley for real, for real. It's a racing movie with starring Brad Pitt. Um, so I didn't really know how I would feel going into it, but coming out of it, I will say it was a decently fun time. I'm not gonna lie to you. I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. Now, it's essentially about Brad Pitt. You know, his character, Sonny Hayes. He's this like old uh, race car driver. He lives in a van. He goes around places just joining random teams to race. And a old pal of his, Ruben, hits him up and is like, "Yo, we need a driver for F1." So Sonny reluctantly joins, and there's this rookie on the team called Joshua Pierce, and they like butt heads throughout the whole movie. You know, a little bit of a Goku Vegeta vibe. Or Naruto and Sasuke, you know, whatever. And eventually, by the end of the movie, they come together as a team, and yeah, it was pretty exhilarating. By far, you know, the music, or at least in my auditorium, my theater, I went to my main theater. It was very loud, very in your face. So. And it was just a regular screening. So imagine IMAX or Dolby. That was just, my fucking eardrums would be cooked. But I ended up having a really good time. I'm not gonna lie. The racing was very exhilarating. There was moments where it got my heart pumping, my heart racing. And overall, it was a pretty solid, decent time. Was it? And considering that this is the last movie of June for me, it was a pretty solid way to end off June, I will say. Having Megan and then this back to back, pretty solid way to end off June. July's got some heat for sure. There's like 4 big movies coming out in July. 3, action, 1 horror. So even though not much, I'm not seeing much in July. What is coming out in July is some very heavy hitters. But yeah, this movie was pretty chill. I had a good time, nothing too crazy. There was moments where, there was a moment where, Pierce's character, his car just goes flying, and it was, definitely the practical effects for this movie were fire. Everything that with the cars was great. As for the runtime, this is a very long movie. It's 2 hours and 35 minutes. I thought I would feel this runtime a lot more, but I didn't really feel the runtime all that much. Like, there was lots of racing. There was 9 races in total. Well, 10 if you want to include, the race in the beginning, which, was just like a little introduction. And that race, by the way, it had there was a shot where the Hayes and this other guy is just neck and neck, and there's fireworks in the background, and it's beautiful to look at. The music was very loud, in your face, rock heavy, which was cool. It was also very dialogue heavy as well. When it came to those calm moments, I never really felt bored. There was maybe only one instance where I got a little tired. But overall it was cool. And I feel like there's a situation where my experience for the movie was better than the actual movie. Not saying that this movie was bad. Again, I did say it was a decent time, but the experience of it was better. Mainly because there was someone sitting right next to me. In my theater, there's everyone who goes to the movie theaters, especially in New York, there's it's a 2-seater kind of. So there's it's all one row, but there's 2 seats that specifically paired together. You know what I mean? And somebody decides to get the seat to the right of me in the 2-seater. I got my seat first, obviously, a while back. And I don't mind when people do this, I don't care. I know most people get butthurt about that, get, irritated when somebody decides to sit right next to them. But, the theater was pretty packed, so I wasn't too mad about it. And in general, like, I don't care who sits next to me. As long as I get there first and get my arm on that armrest, because I did, if I get my ticket first, I'm getting that armrest. That's just like the unspoken rules of the movie going experience. If you decide to get your seat right next to someone, and especially if it's like a two-seater type of thing, that person is entitled to the armrest. So I made sure that I always got there first. I always get the armrest. And most of the time when people get the seat right next to mine, it's a dude. Most of the time. But this time it was this woman. She might have been like, I don't know, like maybe between the ages of like 22 to 25. She was kind of tall, I'm not gonna lie, and she had glasses. It was this white woman. She decides to get her seat right next to mine. At first she was gonna sit a seat over, but then she decides to sit down. She asked me, "Oh, is that like G10?" Because that's the row I was sitting in, and I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, I'm G9." Then I moved my arm from the armrest, which I wouldn't have done if it was a man, but since it was a girl, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna move my arm because I have my arm like this. So I just moved my arm. And then when the movie ended, I was like, what'd you think of it? She was like, oh, it was great. It was the best. And I was like, all right, cool. Have a good one. So I feel like that heightened my experience a little bit, word. But the movie was solid. It was solid, I'll give it that. It was solid. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Would I watch it again? No. I wouldn't watch it again. Even when it comes out to streaming, I probably wouldn't watch it again. But for a one and done, it's solid. So there's that. But yeah, man, that's really about it. There's not much else I want to talk about. It's been a pretty quick, chill review for F1, last movie of June. Next review I do will be for the July lineup. I think Jurassic World Rebirth. That's the first movie I see in July. So, yeah. In terms of movies, but shows... I gotta end this quick. In terms of shows, I still got one more review left for June. And that'll be Squid Game. So I'm going to upload this video tomorrow, Saturday, and then my Season 3 Squid Game review on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. I'm the Hero Light Legend, Tyree Figueroa, signing out. Peace.